Gamers and gentlefolk, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is The Sound, and I am excited to bring you a replay cast. We are taking a look back at, I believe this was a flex match between these two teams. We're going to see Habitual Line Steppers going up against Dragon Gall Z in Division E. This is a best of 3 series, and I do not know the outcome. So if you were watching live, I don't think you could have been, unless you were in the game. But if you know the result, don't tell us in chat, please, since we can all discover it together. A little bit of background on these two teams before we get into the replays. Dragon Gall Z actually now in their 5th season. They've had a handful of different roster changes over those times, as well as a name change. We used to know them as Gall and the Chocolate Factory. Back in, I believe, season 14 was when they got their start. Raka mentioning this is a super cool stinger, and whoever made it is immensely talented. Absolutely. Have to agree. Whoever voluntarily donates their time to make all of these fantastic assets must be a really cool lady. Alright, so that's a little bit of background on Dragon Gall Z, a little bit of info on Habitual Line Steppers. They are in their 2nd season here. They're back in Division E, and last season these teams were in the same division and met up, and so as of last season, their match spread is 1-1 against one another. So this flex match to start out their season breaks that tie. I do not have a delay on Raka. I'm just slow to respond to chat, but I appreciate your saying so. All right. Last season, they traded dominations. This is going to decide who is the top dog among the two of them. And we can take a look at our battleground selection here to see where we're banned and where we're headed. Game 1, we are headed to Cursed Hollow, and we saw map bans on Alterac Pass, Volskaya Foundry for Dragon Gall Z, with Habitual Line Steppers banning out Infernal Shrines and Towers of Doom. So, some oddball maps still available. I'm not sure if we're going to end up seeing a Sky Temple or a Baraxis holdout, but they are pickable, excitingly enough. So that's enough preamble. Let's get into these games and see how our teams perform here in the early going. And we can introduce our teams here on the left in blue. We've got Habitual Line Steppers. No More Heroes playing Genji, Prostman Pat on Leoric, Boomer APM on Sylvanas, X-Turks on Deckard, and Peldor playing Diablo. And to the right in red, we've got Dragon Gall Z. Otaro playing Kel'Thuzad, Viseli on Oriel, Autumn on Raynor, Porthos playing Rexar, and Sol Nova on the Garrosh. So it looks like Habitual Line Steppers going to try and take advantage of their early game Sylvanas and get some tower damage. No More Heroes checking that bush, and immediately tossed into towers by Sol Nova. playing this level 1 very cautiously. So no actual power damage sustained on the side of Dragon Gall Z. And checking in on our level 1 talents, we've got nothing too out of the ordinary. Soul Nova finds no more heroes here on the top side once again. Hell, we're going to peel back the Garrosh. I'll say these drafts feature some heroes that I am unaccustomed to seeing. Namely the Kel'Thuzad and Oriel. Those are more pocket picks in my mind. Checking in on top side, we've got Prostman Pat going up against Porthos. This is a tough lane for Leoric to deal with, as Rexxar is ranged. Oh, and that's a lot of minions collapsing on them. Autumn already starting this bot side camp, keeping things moving on the battleground. How many stacks do we have? Just one stack thus far on Master of the Cold Dark. So Otro definitely going to want to try and find more heroes, but Habitual Line Stepper's doing a great job to stay off the map so that Kel'Thuzad does not have as many opportunities to find those hero hits with their basic abilities. So with the bottom camp already moving, Dragon Gall Z move on to their mid camp. Definitely the order in which you would want to see the teams take those camps, given that the objective is spawning there in that bottom position. Boomer APM onto this siege camp as Dragon Gall Z cap their reciprocal bruisers. Oturo pushed the siege camp in, and about half of this front wall, gates and towers both, all gone. So that's a lot of great early value from the siege camp. Dragon Gall Z also getting a lot of push out of their mid camp here, with the enemy bruisers already cleared up. Of course, Habitual Line Steppers do have a slight advantage in top lane with their... Oh, Soul Nova gets the toss in onto Peldor, but there's no damage follow-up. Checking in on the bottom side. No more heroes. Somewhat low mana, but otherwise relatively safe. X-Turks found by Soul Nova there in the bush. Peldor gets the Shadow Charge in onto Garrosh. Wrecking Ball on X-Turks. Deckard is deep in trouble here, down below 100 HP, and Autumn is chasing them down. This is 5v4 in favor of Habitual Line Steppers, and they will secure first blood. Autumn going down to the Shadow Charge of Peldor there. And Porthos had to stay in the top lane to deal with that siege camp, but that gave Habitual Line Steppers the opportunity to get this first tribute and first takedown. Checking in on our experience. Pretty even, all things considered. Peldor into towers here. I don't think they've got the Shadow Charge to escape, but they're happy to live in the middle of those three. Level 7's now online for Dragon Gall Z. No more heroes, still going with the Agile Dismount build in spite of its recent nerfs. If you are curious to see the most recent patch, you can use the !patch command in chat. That'll shoot you right over to the patch notes. The TLDR, of course, is that Agile Dismount was nerfed. Does not slow for quite as much. And the Cyber Shield level 7 also nerfed, so not as much spell power there. Porthos able to join this objective, so it is a full 5v5 over. But no more heroes continuing to harass the channel here. X-Turks getting one more stall with the cube. Oh, no more heroes, very low, down below 200. A near miss on the whip from Viselli. And X-Turks, we can see, going for a full gem build. Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald. So we may see perfect gems at level 20 from the Deckard, so that they can use all of the utility on their cube. as quickly as possible. And I think the Emerald pickup was a really smart one. Viselli on the Oriole can get a lot of late game healing with, I believe, the level 16 talent, which allows you to store more hope each time you use a fully charged heal bar. And so it can turn into what is essentially an AoE Ancestral. So having the heal deny on Emerald definitely going to help prevent that. Next objective spawning here soon in the top side. We'll see if Habitual Line Steppers leaves anyone to deal with this siege camp. Dragon Gall Z getting a quick 5-hero rotation up to this objective. I don't know if Postman Pat is going to make it out alive. They do still have their E, but they're going to get chunked heavily, down to about 200 HP here. And this time, Dragon Gall Z have a huge advantage in the bot lane, with no one from Habitual Line Steppers sticking around to clear up that siege camp. The longer this objective can stall, the better for Dragon Gall Z. Which, honestly, it's a tough objective for them to capture. Boomer APM sneaking up on the backside there. A flanking Sylvanas, not the scariest hero to flank on. Peldor completes the Black Soulstone quest. And Dragon Gall Z, I think, oh my gosh, what a great spike. Peldor taking a lot of damage here. There's the channel going over to Dragon Gall Z. And heroics on both sides. Everyone's shooting everything. Otro will go down. Postman Pat as well. Viselli falling low, as is Peldor. It's an even trade back and forth. Boomer APM getting chased down by Soul Nova. No More Heroes falling low as well. And they will fall to Jimmy. So in the end, a 3-for-2 trade. Of course, Peldor coming back really quickly thanks to their Black Soulstone quest. All the while, this bottom siege camp got about half of that fort. So a lot of value for Dragon Gall Z on the bot side. Soul Nova might die to this boss. Misha comes in just in time to start tanking for the team. Peldor is here and has scouted it. We haven't seen Soul Nova yet, so Peldor unlikely to contest this, especially with none of the rest of Habitual Line Steppers here. So another cross-map objective from the mercenary push. Porthos going to continue chasing Peldor here. But with the objective spawning right now, no more heroes likely to get a free channel, especially with Postman Pat getting this zone. But it's the stall cross-map from Otro. So Peldor a little bit late to the objective. Boomer APM taking a lot of damage. Autumn caught in the Entomb. X-Turks follows up with the stay a while and listen. And a great stun from Peldor. Gets the flip onto Misha. There's the APOC. Peldor is falling low. A huge wailing arrow from Sylvanas. And it's Diablo to fall. Viselli and Porthos both getting onto Boomer APM. Soul Nova getting chased down, but all of their armor will survive. X-Turks continues to get chased down. One more Misha stun will seal the deal for Habitual Line Steppers wipe. And that's all 5 heroes down. This boss has almost taken out top fort, and this curse will surely hurt for Habitual Line Steppers. All of Dragon Gall Z up and available to push. Bottom fort already weakened by that earlier push, and I love what Habitual Line Steppers are doing here, or I'm sorry, what Dragon Gall Z are doing here. Pushing past the fort, letting those minions sit on that fort will allow for their next minion wave to come up and get hung up on the fort as well. So once the curse finishes off, oh my gosh, X-Turks immediately nuked. No damage, that's a joke and a half. Porthos is here, and with Aspect of the Hawk, they do so much damage. Misha will fall. Peldor able to pop the spell shield, but oh, Otro unable to connect with that second charge of the Shadow Fisher. So this is the advantage. Oh my god, huge Entomb onto 2, but it's Peldor to fall. Boomer APM spooks through with the Haunting Wave. Alright, it looks like they're going to stem their losses at just the Diablo. Dragon Gall Z set up here with a big wave in mid. Looks like they're going to steal away this bruiser camp as well. Haven't called out talents in a while. Anything of note, it looks like we've got an auto attack build from Postman Pat on the Leoric. As mentioned, aspect of the Hawk for Porthos means that we've got a budget Zul'jin on the side of Dragon Gall Z. Blinding Flash for Veseli, trying to cut down on the auto attack damage that Genji and Boomer APM have been pushing. Oh my gosh, and it's another kill on to Peldor. Peldor having a rough go of it thus far, already up to 4 deaths. Dragon Gall Z doing a great job to bully Diablo when the Black Soul Stone is not yet complete. And they're going to get to steal away this boss as well. So they've got a talent tier lead, and Veseli has opted for Reservoir of Hope here at 16. As I had mentioned, it can be a very powerful late game scaling talent. Like I said, AoE Ancestral, there's a reason that it's a level 20 talent for Rhaegar, but why not make it a level 16 for Oriel? Honestly, she needs it, because the rest of her kit can be a little tough to get value out of. No more heroes tossed in, no Warlords challenge, however. The Decimate does not lock down the Genji. A great stun from Veseli, and Boomer APM looking for another flank here. Lots of flank attempts from Sylvanas, but with no CC, no hard lockdown, it's not the scariest thing to have show up on your backline. So boss will probably get eliminated before the shields go down. Dragon Gall Z continue to push out waves. Their boss will be spawning in the next 30 seconds or so. And it's going to keep Habitual Line Steppers pushed into their base for a while. Porthos using Misha and the long leash range that Rexar has to pick up that vision without any threat. Solnova doing a great job to watch this pixel bush here. Okie dokie. Habitual Line Steppers almost closing the gap towards level 16. Solnova would love to get one more fight. And there's the Unleash the Boars from Porthos. They're going to get another slow onto Peldor. Misha stun incoming. Peldor taking a lot of damage here, but they will retreat to their wall. Solnova unable to get the toss, has to use the Indomitable. But Otro finds X-Turks, and X-Turks dies once again. So level 16's secured for Habitual Line Steppers, but they lose their healer, and Autumn immediately going to rip the Hyperion. Of course, the flanking Sylvanas able to get something done here. Autumn continues to chase onto Boomer APM, and they will take it out. No more heroes looking for Jimmy, but it's the Genji who will fall. Veseli falling low. Autumn continuing to pepper these auto attacks in, and that's Postman Pat going down. Every single Shadow Fisher resetting. Lots and lots of damage. Of course, we lost Otro early, but they were able to respawn thanks to their level 4 Phylactery of Kel'Thuzad. Porthos immediately getting on to the core while the rest of Dragon Gall Z work on this mid-keep. A little bit of miscommunication there is going to cost some HP and a little bit of tempo on the battleground. Porthos falls extraordinarily low and pops the Feign Death. Probably a preemptive not wanting to get shadow charged by Peldor. So there we have Solnova channeling another tribute. 2 tributes in the bank for Dragon Gall Z once again. Otro setting up for this topside boss with the rest of Dragon Gall Z rotating in to support. Habitual Line Steppers feel like they have too much homework to do on the map, cleaning up bot lane, getting this siege camp going, which means they won't get this pre-20 fight on boss. Probably one of their best opportunities to get back into this game, but like I said, they have a lot of homework to deal with on the battleground. So with Storm Talents in their hand and a 3-level stat advantage to boot, Dragon Gall Z likely going to try and push to finish the game here. Anything out of the ordinary? Nice. It's shifting Malice for Otro. No more heroes here on the flank. Gets the dismount onto a couple. Peldor almost caught in the root there, but a huge Wailing Arrow lands onto 4. There's the Entomb and the APOC. It's Jimmy to fall, but oh my god, so much damage from Otro. 3 kills going over to Kel'Thuzad. Boomer APM here in the backline looking for Porthos, but it looks like the Feigned Death will save the Rexar player, and the boss is onto the core, down below 50%. No more heroes, unlikely to make the solo defense, and that'll do it for game 1. GG and well played to Dragon Gall Z. So a very clean first game going over to Dragon Gall Z. They looked very comfortable on the battleground. I wonder if they were the ones who picked it or if they opted for first pick. With these drafts, given the comfort selection that most folks went for, it's hard to really glean which the map pick and draft selection teams were. That's one of the things that I love about casting the lower divisions of NGS, including my own, is people are a lot more likely to stick to heroes that they are more comfortable on, and they are less slavishly following the meta. Raka asking me not to remind them that homework exists. I'm sorry, buddy. That was my fault. I shouldn't have done that. Let's take a look at these post-game stats. Boomer APM able to get a fair bit of hero damage there with almost 37k, but nothing close to Otoro. I keep saying their name differently, but I'm going to go with Otoro. Otoro able to get almost 51,000 hero damage. And, of course, the takedown count, I think, is the biggest thing of note. 21 takedowns to 6 in favor of Dragon Gall Z. Taking another look at our builds here. Deathly Calm for Garrosh at 20. Definitely makes sense. Shield of Hope. Yep, classic. Postman Pat unable to get through most of the level 16 Mithril Mace. Safety in Numbers for Deckard at 16. Ancient Blessings at 13. I don't know if we ever got to see it, but that is a great talent. Little baby Bloodlust on Deckard. Increasing auto attack damage and healing for the auto attack damage. Anyway, so that's game 1. Love to see it. Where are we headed for our second game? Let's find out, team. Garden of Terror. Okie dokie. Garden of Terror, not one of my favorite battlegrounds to play on, at least. I am not a huge fan of Cursed Hollow without bosses, is kind of how I think about this battleground. The boss being a win condition is nice, and not having the boss available as a win condition means that Garden of Terror can drag on a bit. But there are lots of mercenary camps to grab, so the Hogger player in me also loves this battleground, because you get to take a lot of mercenary camps. Who doesn't love mercenary camps? Alright, enough about that. Let's get into game number 2 and see if Habitual Line Steppers can bring us to a game 3, or if Dragon Gall Z will close it out in a clean 2-0. Checking in. Let's introduce the teams. No More Heroes playing Maiev, Peldor on Anubarak, Pressman Pat again on Leoric, Boomer APM reprising their role on Sylvanas, and X-Turks sticking with the Deckard. On the right, we've got Dragon Gall Z, Porthos on Rexar, Autumn playing Vala, Viselli on Orphea, Helix the Cat on Anduin, and Soul Nova repping the Garrosh once again. So a new player enters the battleground for Helix the Cat. They were not in Game 1. Raka mentioning that Garden Terror is statistically the most unbalanced map in the game. Interesting. Not sure what that exactly would mean. X-Turk somehow finds themselves in the middle of all of Dragon Ball Z and falls once again. Ah, it's because of a DC, it looks like. Alrighty. A little bit unlucky to lose the Deckard like that, but so it goes, so it goes. Checking in on our level 1 talents. No More Heroes opting for Naisha's Memento. An excellent pickup for the battleground. As mentioned, there are many mercenary camps, and No More Heroes is going to be able to get through those by themselves. Viselli caught by a 4-hero gank, but Helix the Cat in range for the Leap of Faith. Excellent support play. And Soul Nova doing Garrosh's favorite thing, I assume, soaking a lane. Porthos and Prostman Pat back on their matchup from last game. This is a tricky spot to be in. Soul Nova gets the toss onto No More Heroes, but they're able to Shade of Vengeance their way out. I know the name for that skill. Oh my gosh, but Soul Nova throwing everyone all over the place. The toss in on Autumn will secure the kill. So 3 takedowns total for Dragon Ball Z, and they are pretty far ahead towards their level 4 talents now. Sure, Habitual Line Steppers got the camp, but I don't think in the long run it was worth the trade. If you get the first terror spawn, your chance to win goes up by 70%. Holy cow. Where, out of curiosity, Raka, where are you getting that stat from? I would be interested to see that. Okie dokie. Objective spawning on the bot side, as it always does. First objective on Garden Terror will always spawn on the bottom of the map. So if you don't know, now you know. But it will either spawn left or right. Here, it's spawning on the right side. Peldor, found by Soul Nova, takes the short distance burrow charge to escape. Level 4s on both sides. And Porthos doing a great job with Hunter-Gatherer, already up to 3 stacks on the Globe Collection quest. Any other quest progress of note? Autumn unable to find too many folks with the Fire at Will. The W quest for Vala at level 1. We're also looking for stacks on No More Heroes, looking for Pin Down, which really, you know, if you're able to get those stacks, it really amps up the damage that Maiev does with her Q. X-Turks looks for the root, only connects it onto Misha. Next objective spawning here on the top side in a neutral spawn, but Habitual Line Steppers still about a quarter level away from their level 7 talents. And the camp in bottom more or less cleaned up. Prostman Pat finds Soul Nova, or is it the other way around? That's a lot of damage onto Leoric. Orphea is still coming back from base. Viselli has a long way to go. Porthos finding 2 with the Misha charge. Peldor tossed in. There's a reset for Maiev, but Peldor is extraordinarily low. Prostman Pat as well, so that's the first takedown of the battle. Porthos likely to fall as well. So it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Peldor is in a lot of trouble. Tossed in once again, and they will fall. So 2-for-1 in favor of Dragon Ball Z. Soul Nova very healthy still. Continues to push the rest of Habitual Line Steppers off as Autumn gets the channel here on the bot side. So 2 seeds to none in favor of Dragon Ball Z. Starting that objective fight with Prostman Pat down at about 50% HP. really hampered Habitual Line Stepper's ability to get in there and stand their ground. Soul Nova also doing a phenomenal job on the Garrosh. I do wonder if that is their tank pick of choice. They are playing it 2 games in a row here. Habitual Line Steppers once again looking to invade on this siege camp. But the rest of Dragon Gall Z collapses just in time. So it's actually 4v5 Habitual Line Steppers have opted into. Misha continuing to harass X-Turks here. Peldor gets the stun onto 3 and is able to burrow charge their way to safety. Alright, Postman Pat has cleaned up these seedling terror thingies, which I'm sure Dragon Gall Z is very thankful for. X-Turks tossed in and immediately eliminated. No more heroes falling low as well. Autumn and Veseli on the chase, and they'll clean up another kill. Ooh, Boomer APM uses the Haunting Wave to try and get a stall, but does not connect. So that's the first objective phase going over to Dragon Gall Z. Firstman Pat up and top to clean up there. There's a Bruiser camp pushing along with the Garden Terror, and it's just Peldor here defending against 4. I don't think Anubarak is super well suited to that, and especially not while Dragon Gall Z have the heroic talent tier advantage. We can see it's Unleash the Boars, Rain of Vengeance, Crushing Jaws, Light Bomb, and Decimate once again. Heroics now online for Habitual Line Steppers. Containment Disc, Cocoon, Entomb, Wailing Arrow, and Stay a While and Listen. So a collapse towards Porthos here in the top lane, but it's means that Dragon Gall Z are potentially going to get a keep here off their first objective push. A little bit of indecision there. We can see no more heroes still hearthing back from top. 4v4. Oh, the Containment Disc does not connect. There's a Shadow Charge in onto Autumn. A huge Wailing Arrow lands onto 3. Autumn falling low here. It's X-Turks to fall first. There's Peldor going down as well. No more heroes. Very low. Veseli looking for additional chase. They're low on mana. And the Siege Giant tossed in. They're going to clean it up. Dragon Gall Z, especially Soul Nova on the Garrosh, I gotta say, really cleaning up in these team fights. The Into the Frays and Wrecking Balls both doing a lot of work in these team fights. So after the first objective phase, bottom keep down to a little bit below 50% HP, and Dragon Gall Z are going to keep the pressure in bot lane going with this Bruiser invade. This is going to be a tough one. Like I had mentioned earlier, Veseli very low on mana. Autumn and Postman Pat rotating in, so this is 5v4 in favor of Habitual Line Steppers. They'll all get to clean up their Bruiser camp. Raka has written me a novel explaining how this battleground is unbalanced, and I will likely read that after this game is over, because we got heroes to look at and comment on, and health bars to click on. It's very exciting here in Heroes of the Storm. Alright, so a little bit of cross-map pressure in bot lane, thanks to that Bruiser camp pickup for Habitual Line Steppers. This is a tough objective for them to get in on, given its positioning. They don't have a line of safety to fall back to, and Dragon Gall Z can get back to their fort with relative ease. So with the talent tier advantage, they pick up another objective. Level 13s, what do we have? Tempered by Discipline for Autumn rather than Bloom. With how much spell power or spell damage Habitual Line Steppers are sporting between the Mayav and the Sylvanas, I would have expected Gloom at 13. What is Orphea doing? Backbiter, Insatiable, Invasive Miasma. Alright. Those all seem like good talents. Orphea is a hero that I love to see because of how much skill expression it allows for, but oh man, I know nothing about that hero. Boomer APM looking for the Hearth out. I guess they're hoping to get full mana before this objective, but it means that late Hearth is going to bring a late rotation. Heldor immediately rooted. Oh my gosh, the follow-up from Helix the Cat was right on time. So immediately another 4v5 that Habitual Line Steppers are going to have to confront. Solnova once again finding the toss. Helix the Cat immediately rooting on the follow-up. Looks like top lane will go in favor of Dragon Gall Z, and there's the Into the Fray. No More Heroes has to pop the containment disc, but Solnova able to chase them down with the Into the Fray and Decimate. Okay, Entomb under towers. Helix the Cat is fine though. Autumn drawing that fort aggro to keep Anduin safe. Really heads up play there from the DPS player, manipulating the call for help mechanic. Alright, another Talontier advantage in favor of Dragon Gall Z. Level 16 has unlocked Punishment, so far more cooldown reduction, or far more cooldown availability for Fire at Will. Not the most common level 16. I think typically I see Valis pick up Manticore. Heldor tossed in once again, and there's the root follow-up. Oh my goodness. This follow-up from Autumn and Helix the Cat is remarkably good. Boomer APM caught in a weird spot on the top side here. No More Heroes taken down by Veseli on the bottom left hand of the fight. So, man, that's a rough spot for Habitual Line Steppers, and their bot keep falls to the Catapult and Objective Pressure. I don't think Dragon Gall Z are going to feel comfortable crossing the map completely all the way to bot lane, sticking instead in the top lane here, trying to get another keep. And that's Hunter-Gatherer completed for Porthos. Not only increasing their passive HP regen, but now also unlocking a bit of armor for Misha and Rexar. So Dragon Terror onto, or not Dragon Terror, Garden Terror onto the core. A Siege Giant and Catapult still here to deal with. X-Turks and Boomer APM are going to work to clean that up. Misha draws Keep aggro. A very early... Oh my goodness. Peldor has not been able to play this video game a single time for Game 2. Entomb catches none. Postman Pat falling very low. Solnova will help Veseli clean up the kill. X-Turks gets a huge stay a while and listen, but another set of stuns onto No More Heroes. Boomer APM looking for the hero play here. Able to get Dragon Gall Z to back up. And the core still has yet to take any damage. The shielding has been enough. No More Heroes falling very low here, but the healing from X-Turks is enough to keep them up. The shielding is down, and the core is taking damage. Dragon Gall Z looking to close out Game 2 in a dominant fashion. Boomer APM getting a lot of damage, but the healing from Helix the Cat is sustaining Dragon Gall Z. Veseli very low. Porthos stays stuck to the core here as the rest of Dragon Gall Z back up. Will Misha be able to do it with Rexar alone? Oh, they're trying! Solnova's still here as well, and they'll do it. Good job. Dragon Gall Z sticking to their guns. GG, well played. Gotta follow the core call, everyone. That's the lesson that we learned today. Solnova and Porthos, knowing that they had it in the bag, stuck to their guns, and finished up Game 2. So a 2-0 going over to Dragon Gall Z. Alright, now to read Raka's novel about the balance of Garden of Terror. A few years ago, Cavalier Guest, for those who are unaware, Cavalier Guest is a former HGC coach and all-around smart dude with regards to Heroes of the Storm. He's got a YouTube channel called, as well as a Discord called The Nexus Schoolhouse. So I highly recommend you checking them out. Just a lot of stuff to learn there. Okay, so a few years ago, Cavalier Guest did some data analysis over map objectives. He found that the team who gets the Garden Terror to spawn for them first wins the map around 70% of the time, which is the highest percent on any map objective. This is likely due to the fact that the lanes all get pushed significantly, and opposing terrors have to de-push and are, therefore, less impactful. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if that analysis happened pre or post Scoop's mentioning that it's kind of like having first turn advantage for Tomb of the Spider Queen. Kind of, but once again, I wonder if that analysis happened before or after the experience changes, where forts stopped granting chunk XP and instead started granting trickle XP. I'd be interested to know if that statistic still holds true. Anyway, let's take a look at some post-game stats, shall we? So Boomer APM, top of the lobby this time with 40,000, but unfortunately all that damage did not amount to too many takedowns. 17-4, once again Dragon Gall Z really showing up with those takedowns, and unfortunately Peldor bore the brunt of their aggression. 6 deaths for them. Soul Nova, Autumn, and Helix the Cat really had a Nubarax number. Checking in on talent builds, no more heroes going for the full Q build, only able to secure 1 stack on pin down, but even so, I'm pretty sure the math works out that if you get even 1 stack on pin down, it's better than the other Q talent. So that's pretty cool. Invasive Miasma, Dread Magic, okay, ignoring armor, great. Fantastic. Well played. So a clean 2-0 in favor of Dragon Gall Z. Very well played by the red team. And given how quick that 2-0 was, I will, I think, cast another replay series here in a second. So I'll take a quick break to get that next one set up, but don't go anywhere. If you're still here and want to watch more heroes, we'll be around. I'll do a quick sign off just to make it clean for YouTube, but I'm not actually leaving you, so don't worry. I want to give a shout out to all of the artists, musicians, and programmers whose work I feature here on the stream. It wouldn't look or sound anywhere near as good without their contributions, and you can find links to all of their work below the video, as well as in a credit roll coming up here. I'd strongly recommend you check them out. They do fantastic stuff. So if you're here live with us, stick around. We've got another series coming up in a bit.